In this video, we're going to use scrap yarn to make new yarn. So let's get started. In case you missed it, I do have a video of where I actually sorted all of my scrap yarns, but we're gonna jump right in. And I gravitated toward this bucket because the colors kind of all work together. My hope is to not muddy the colors too much, so I think sticking within a smaller palette is a better idea. So we're gonna start picking some things out of here. Full disclosure, I've never done this before, so we're just winging it. My thoughts are that yellows, pinks, purples, and maybe a little bit of this sort of mauvey color would be really nice. Do I want yellow? I don't have a lot of purple, so I'll have to keep that in mind. I'm loving the way these colors look, and I think I do want to try adding some yellow in as well, but I'm a little bit worried about what that will do to the overall feel of this, but maybe it'll work just fine. I think that's the fun part about using scraps, is we can just kind of experiment with it and see what happens. I'm wondering if I would prefer pink, purple, and maybe blue instead of the yellow. Let's see what that would look like. It's very helpful having all my scraps separated now. Oh, like pop, yeah, I feel like the pops of blue might be really nice. And we could do yellow as well. See, I don't know why, but I instantly gravitate toward just keeping on adding colors, but I really don't want this to get too terribly muddy either. But I'm really liking how all these look together. These might be a little bit on the bright side. Maybe I'll take those ones out. So I'm trying to decide if I like the blue with this better or the yellow. What do I want to go for here? I haven't done anything with like a real pop of yellow. Am I just gonna end up making another like flower inspired yarn? Would that be a bad thing? No. I also have this scrap bin of wool, so I definitely want to be pulling from here as well. So there's some pink. Maybe what I need to focus on is figuring out what the base color is going to be for this, because from what I understand and what I've seen a few people do online is you make, between all your scraps, you have actual like wool roving of some sort as well, so that it all kind of sticks together. I don't really want to use white because I think that's going to basically result in the same issue I had with this bat. So I don't know if you guys remember, but this was the sky yarn before I took the other half of this bat and added a bunch of blue. But you can see that because I added so much white, it is really pretty, but it's quite pale and quite desaturated. And so I don't really want to go that direction with this. So I need to decide where I do want to go. Now, because these are actual chunks, like maybe this would be fine. Should we go again for a flower vibe? Okay, I'm gonna look at some inspiration and then just pick some stuff. Something I constantly gravitate toward is inspiration from nature. I live in a place where it is winter so much of the year that I just want to only think about green grass and flowers and things. So that's why you'll see me using a lot of those kind of colors and inspirations, because I need to just not think about winter. So the next thing I'm gonna do, now that I have all these scraps, I'm gonna cut them up into like much smaller pieces. I don't want them to be too short because I think if I make them too short, they're not gonna stick in my yarn quite as well. So I'm just gonna chop. My fibers are a mix of all kinds of things. A lot of these are wool acrylic blends. So that'll be interesting because I've never spun with acrylic, I don't think. Some of them are 100% wool, some of them are cotton. It's just a mix, but I think that this is such a great way to use up scraps. At least I'm hoping it will be. I guess I haven't done it before, so I don't know for sure, but I think it will be because it'll help us sort of reform, or I guess undo, the yarn making process that they're currently in. and make them a little bit more into fiber again. And then kind of, now that I'm seeing all of this, I'm kind of questioning my green choice because I am worried about once that's all mixed together, what is the color we're going to get? At the same time though, this to me and for me is just a lot of pink and purple. So I kind of do like the idea of there being green involved. So maybe I should just go for it. Maybe what we'll do, especially in the name of experimentation, you know, we can always just not make a ton of one thing. I don't have to make this into a huge bat, and we can kind of see what this result gives us. I'm loving this green right here. Maybe we'll mix some of that in. Maybe this will just be a new type of flower garden yarn, just a different flower garden than the last stuff. So I'm just kind of mixing this all together just to see what kind of effect that will give me. Maybe we do want some yellow. Maybe this is gonna be quite a mix. Am I gonna regret that? Time will tell. I think one of you did suggest a pop of yellow in the last flower garden yarn, so maybe we should just see what that does to this. Okay, I think I'm gonna start carding this now just to see what happens, because I just don't really have a reference to what's gonna happen once we start mixing this all together. I also have this. This is acrylic fiber. That's actually quite a pretty color. Maybe I'll try mixing some of that in there as well. Okay. Experimenting can sometimes be really intimidating because you're just like, I have no idea what's gonna happen and maybe it's gonna look really bad in the end. And I definitely don't want it to look bad, but you just don't know until you try it. Okay. Here we go. It would help if I turned it on. So why don't we try some of this? This is also such a great way to use up pieces of wool that are a little bit felted. Like this one is definitely a little bit felted, which probably means I wove it into something and handled it too much, because merino felts or can felt pretty easily when it's agitated too much. Okay, so just gonna try to get the drum filled with wool first and then add the colors after, so that what I'm hoping is that the layers of wool will kind of hold the little pieces of yarn. And I did just watch a video on this morning. I will try to remember to link it in the description down below, because that creator had some good tips on this from what I can tell, although this is my first time trying it, so time will tell. And so I am gonna make a little bit of a smaller bat, so I'm just staying more inside the edges of the drum than I normally would. So now I'm just gonna push that yarn or wool down into the drum carder a little bit more firmly. Now I'm gonna slow right down, and I'm just gonna start trying to put some of these scraps in. It like kind of feels a little strange. I'm probably gonna have to card this more than once just so that these little fibers on the yarns actually get combed out a little bit. Because this feels like it doesn't want to comb it out. You just kind of have to shove it in. Interesting. Oh, that's a really long piece. Okay. Maybe this is why people tend to cut it up more than I did. So already I feel like, yeah, some of my yarns are going onto the liquor brush, or the, I don't know what this bar is called. This one. They're kind of escaping me. The single merino wool roving, or sorry, single ply yarns like this, I think definitely will work the best because they're not plied, so they're gonna like easily come apart. Okay, so I have some scrap yarn in there. I think now I'm gonna add more wool on top of this. This is gonna be so interesting. I'm a little unsure, but it's one of those things. You just have to kind of try it to see what happens and then take what you learn from that and bring it into the next one. I'm definitely realizing just how far scrap yarn could go in something like this, because if you can see beside me, I still have so much that I could be putting on here, but it's probably not all gonna even fit. It is really pretty though, so that's good news. Okay, I'm gonna try another strategy where I'm just gonna like tuck little pieces of yarn in. Whew, whenever I stop the drum carder, it looks like everything is still spinning. Oh, it always takes me a minute. It's like everything I look at is moving. What does that mean? Why, does anyone else experience that? If you have a drum carder, especially an electric one like this, let me know. If you look at it spinning for too long, does it make you kind of dizzy once it stops? Because it definitely does that to me. Okay, I'm really liking this so far, so I'm just gonna keep adding to it, and then I'll recard it as well, I think, just so that we brush out some of this wool or some of the yarn scraps more, and then we will get to spinning. All right, I've put quite a bit on here, so I'm gonna now take this bat off and recard it, just because I do want to make sure all the chunks of yarn that I put in here are a little bit more brushed out. And this is a thinner bat than I think I've been doing lately, but that's okay. So let's take a little look-see at what we've got going on so far. So this is the back of the bat, which is really pretty actually. And then this is the front. So you can see that it's so different. That is why I'm going to card it again. But wow, this is actually really beautiful. You can see on the top down. So I just want to mix this together a little bit better. And how do I want to do that? Because I could just put it right through the, I think it's called the liquor. I don't always remember the names of things. I apologize, but that's just not my jam. How do I want to do this? Because it's already so nice. I think I'm gonna split it. I might just brush it back on. Let's just see if this will work, actually. Okay, what I'm gonna try is to sort of widen this out, or spread it out, whatever you want to say, and see what happens. See, a lot of it is wanting to stick here, so I'm probably going to end up having to put it back on like this anyway. This piece I think needs to come out. It's too long. See how it's all just sort of collecting on here? I'm sure someone knows exactly why. I probably should have combed out some of those scraps prior to adding them maybe. But I'm determined not to like waste any of this, so I'm just gonna brush it back on. So putting it under here didn't work as well as I had hoped. So I think I'm going to just do what I've done in the past. And this is getting a little more mixed than I was thinking it would be, but I just feel like it needs to be combed out more yet. Okay, I think the bat is done. Just gonna get back to the beginning of it. We're gonna pull this off, and it is, you know, probably gonna be a little bit more of a muddy color than I was hoping for because of that double carding, but I actually do think that it's looking really pretty. So these scraps that I'm pulling off, I'm just gonna try to lay them back onto the bat, and hopefully I'll be able to kind of spin them in as well. Oh my goodness, this is really pretty. So here's what it looks like from above. It's like, it's similar to the garden yarn bat, but it's almost a bit softer, like more delicate, I think, even than that one was. So I'm really excited to spin this and kind of see what happens with it. Okay, so now I'm trying to decide what exactly I'm doing. I might use this and do core spinning again, but for this one, I'm thinking I want to try core spinning and then making a coiled yarn. I think that would be really neat to try out, though I don't know what I would use it for. It's always the tricky part. Or do I want to just spin this? Maybe I should just spin it. Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out right now, I'm gonna spin this yarn on its own. So I'm gonna make a single ply yarn with the bat. And then I'm gonna use this Briggs & Little Heritage yarn for my core afterwards. Now, what I need to know then is which direction to spin this in. So I need to spin in a, I believe it's a Z twist, because when I spin it around this core, we need to go the opposite direction, which is S. And right now it's this way. So I'm gonna spin in a Z direction for those of you who also spin. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and split this bat into multiple pieces just to make them a little bit more manageable for me. I'm hoping this will go well. I was gonna just core spin this, but I just thought, you know, why not try something different this time? And we'll see how it goes. Okay. Definitely gonna be a really like thick and thin style yarn since there's literally just chunks throughout it. But I'm interested to see what that will actually look like once we ply it into coils later. So here's what it's looking like so far. It's definitely interesting. It's really variegated, the texture, the color, all of it. And so I'm gonna go ahead and spin the rest of this up and then we will look at what we've got. Okay, so I finished spinning and here's what it's looking like. It's very similar to the meadow yarn, I will admit. We can see it's very similar colors to that, but we are gonna ply this one a little bit different. Oops, a little bit differently just to give it a different vibe. I'm gonna try coil plying. So let me grab another, what is this thing called? Let me grab another spool. Okay, so I'm gonna try. Oh, did I do it the wrong? Oh, did I do this wrong? Shoot, did I do this all wrong? Left would be spinning this more. Oh, I'm just going the wrong way. Okay. This wrong. Okay, you guys, I think I spun my yarn the wrong way. In fact, I know I spun it the wrong way. So this is not gonna work. Shoot! I messed it up. I messed it up. Okay, you guys, so I got confused and I spun my main yarn the incorrect way. So I am switching to a different style of yarn because I don't think I have a yarn that's spun the other way. So I'm gonna try spinning this around just a very small core. But yeah, I kind of did this all backwards. So I'm going to do some spiral and some coil. So from what I understand, all you have to do the coil is you just sort of push up on your spiral. So I'm doing the spiral and then I can just kind of push it closer together. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep doing this. And as you can see right here, we have a little bit of spiral and then we have this more coiled look. I'm hoping it'll work out well, but we'll see at the end. Maybe this yarn will be a fail. Let's find out together. So I finished plying and I'm just gonna tie a knot in this end so hopefully it doesn't unravel a bunch. All right, so I'm gonna get this on the nitty knotty and into a skein. All right, it's all done, so let's have a look at the finished skein. I love the way this turned out. It's similar to the garden yarn, but also different at the same time. If you enjoyed this video, check out this one next, and don't forget to subscribe.